Well, right, we're human beings, not human doings. But for most of us, me included, that doing and I think for entrepreneurs and business owners and leaders, like that doing is where we find a lot of our self-worth and our value. Like, if I can check off a checklist, wow, I crushed the day. Who cares if I'm, done puddle on the floor at the end of the day? Um, but yeah, I think as technology and disruption um hits new levels that we've never seen, but we've never experienced before, I think the human aspect of it all is going to be what grounds us and what keeps businesses successful. If their business owners, if their leaders can tap into that humanness of it, because we're going to be missing a lot. We're going to be missing out on that in lots of aspects.
Craft Your Life is a radio show for the tenacious, the bold, and those who refuse to settle for mediocrity. We bring together visionaries, game changers, and relentless go-getters who are crafting their lives, businesses, and relations in pursuit of excellence. If you are ready to shatter limits, embrace the amazing, and live life on your own terms, this show is for you. Each episode delivers actionable insights, inspiring stories, and unfiltered conversations that will ignite your drive to win a life worth dying for. Tune in and get ready to live viciously. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Craft Your Life radio show. Today on our show, we're joined by Amy Ben-Horin, a certified J. Shetty life coach, adventurer at heart, a guide for those ready to live with purpose, fulfillment, and joy. Amy's work is about igniting passion, reconnecting to your authentic self, and living in alignment with your highest values. She blends compassion, courage, and a deep love of nature to help people overcome fear, rediscover meaning, and craft a life that truly gives back. Amy,
That
how'd
was
we do?
beautiful. I was that was the part that I was most excited for. I'm like, okay, I can't wait to see what his, intro looks like, sounds like.
Yes, I love it. I appreciate you joining. Where are you beaming in from?
I am beaming in from the beautiful Unaweep Canyon, and if it was a few degrees warmer, we could be outside in my outside
Mm,
office, but it's still just around freezing out there right now. So we're inside.
yeah. Fall
Yeah.
season is upon us.
Yeah.
That's real.
Yeah.
Where did you grow up? Did you grow up around here or come in from somewhere else?
I grew up on the Front Range, and
Okay.
so I went to North Glen High School for anyone who's familiar with Colorado, but, the mountains have always been my heart. We'd come up for camping and hunting and fishing with my family, and I remember, one time driving back from camping and just looking back at the mountains and wishing that I could hug them. Like,
Mm.
I don't know how old I was, just wishing I could hug them, and so, traveled a little bit, but when I eventually found myself up in the mountains and now out here on the Western Slope.
That's amazing. And you have coaching, consulting, you work with entrepreneurs and individuals um, and groups, if I
Mhm.
understand correctly.
Yeah,
How would you define that? Like somebody comes up to you and says, Amy, what's your profession? What do you do? How do you
yeah,
answer?
yeah. I think the best way to answer is just to share stories about some of the people I work with, and I work with
Mm,
these visionary leaders kind of all across the globe who have really big ideas on the impact that they wanna have in the world. Most of them are, either the leader of their organization or the founder or a solopreneur, and it gets really lonely in that role. And even if you're really, really good at hitting big goals, at some point it's kind of at the expense of yourself. And that's what I found with my career as well. I was the executive director of multiple organizations and giving everything I had to, visions and organizations that spoke to my heart. But I came home and I had nothing left to give. The puddle on the floor. And my husband asked me to grab the milk out of the refrigerator. And so my goal with where I am now is I do coaching, I do consulting, but really I think of myself as more of like a thought partner for these individuals to make sure that we can have this big impact in the world, but that they also enjoy the journey and that there's some longevity in there and that the legacy that they want to create lives far beyond them and that they enjoy kind of the process along the way.
And how do I want to frame this question? Um, I mean, in some ways, the really blunt question is like, okay, so what? So visionaries, I mean, some people are just built to go push and achieve and hit a milestone and the next milestone. And if it's at the cost of um, short-term personal well-being or long, like, so what?
Yeah. Can I flip that around? This comes my coaching hat, right?
Absolutely.
So
Yes.
what, Matt? So you've got Cooler Garage, right? You've built an awesome
Yep.
culture there. So what if your family struggles and doesn't see you while you're reaching your next milestone? What does that mean for you?
Yeah, well, it means a lot.
This so what is, and I've felt it myself of like, yeah, you can grow and you can expand and you can scale and um, you know, I was asked even to do a TED talk about what the organization I was running was up to and what we were doing and like on this high, but so what if it's at the expense of yourself? I think that question can be easily flipped of so what does a full fulfilling, joyful life look like? Because if it's just in one realm, if it's just in our career, but we don't have a family, we don't have time to recreate, our bodies are unhealthy because we don't have time to take care of it. Because we don't have a spiritual practice, whatever that means for you. Like if your life isn't kind of holistically whole and full, so what? So what if you hit big goals? What's the why?
Yeah, it's fascinating. I was got the opportunity to hang out with a group of entrepreneurs. They were all in a little bit of startup phase, and the human. Um, I mean, it's a bit ego, and it's a bit of playing to maybe what we perceive society to view as winning and success, right? Like, so what?
Yeah.
Because it's so fascinating to me, in my journey. I'm at this cusp, like 7-7. So I get to turn 49 this year and, turn another seven. And in my,
Awesome.
like, there's something real to 7 sevens, right? And every
Yeah.
7 years, there's some transformation. So I'm flipping a chapter and, you know, I've heard this, most recently from Tommy Mello, who's big in the garage door industry. And it's like, in order for the leader to be born, the grinder, the hustler has to die. And it's fascinating to me because I can catch my ego in comparison and feel like I'm never going to be enough or I'm not far along
Yeah.
enough or da, 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 like all this noise in the head.
Yeah. Well, you asked that Jay Shetty, life coach, right? So when I was working at the last organization that I was working with, it was a national fundraising organization, and I had made the decision that I didn't just because you can doesn't mean you should. This is a really good executive director. I grew the organization. Startups are fun. You know, we're our fundraising was over 400,000 that year, and we donated to over, I don't know, 50 organizations across the US. And just because you can doesn't mean you should, right? Like I'm good at it, but it wasn't filling my soul. And so that's when I decided, I was like, hey, I need to do something different. What are my skills? What do I love doing? And that's where Jay Shetty, like his coaching school kept showing up for me on social media. Probably just met the algorithm. But for me, I was like, all right, let's look more into this. Um, and really that idea of combining Eastern and Western philosophies to live with purpose is what drew me to that. And and playing more in the realm of what Oprah Winfrey also has this awesome quote or that I like a lot of we can't become who we're meant to be by remaining who we are. And so that idea of becoming that leader, you have to let go of go what did you call it?
The hustler grinder.
The hustler
Is that what?
grinder, right? Like
Yeah.
anytime we're ready to level up, we are kind of letting go of some of those identities. And with the life coaching and learning from and tying in Eastern and Western philosophies, like what does that look like to truly live your best life? And what do you need to let go of? What do you need to shed so that you can expand and grow and be who you're truly meant to be? Because just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Yeah. Yeah, I dig that. Yeah, that shift in identity can be really, challenging and scary.
Totally. And, it's interesting too for people that have stayed in the same job for a really long time, what happens? Um, like you're Matt from Cooler. So if you get rid of Cooler, who are you?
Mhm.
Right. And I think that's the really, really fun part to explore. And the people I work with, typically we start on the consulting side because it's easier to look at business goals. Like, yep, here's where I want to be. I want to be at
Totally.
3 million in 3 years. And you're like, great, awesome. We can put a strategic plan together. And then the really fun part for me is when they realize that they can't just continue to do what they've done, that hustler, that grinder, to get them where they want to be. So we honor where we've come from. You honor that person that played the role that has gotten you here because it's gotten you here. And that's amazing. And I'm no longer that person. And I need to maybe shed that identity a bit so that I can reach for what's truly possible. Um, because I mean, it's infinite. We can be or do whatever we want, and it's only us that stop us in that journey.
Yeah, that's, awesome, and also, at the same time, I can hear my own ego. I would imagine other people. I mean, that's a challenging concept to fully adopt, and it's undeniably true. If I look around logically and I see individuals that have gone to certain levels, and business is just the vehicle. Like, it's not about the doors, it's not about the profit, it's not about anything that's an external outcome. It's about the internal process. And
Yeah.
I guess for um listeners, Amy, whether it's for yourself or for others, like, is there a point where you start on that identity? I mean, you mentioned kind of consulting and on business, and I love that because that's the door in that people are okay with, and it's a rare individual who's just like, yeah, let's change identity. Like, who do I need to become today? Um,
Well, and even those people that are like, "I understand this," it's a constant. It's all of our egos. It's you
Constant.
49 years of conditioning, right? And whether that's the external, right? We've been marketed to for our whole lives of what success looks like. And
For real.
until we fully define what it looks like for us and then redefine it, recommit, and I think that that commitment is the hugest part, and I think it's commit and recommit because no one's perfect. Like perfection, I guess you can look at perfection two ways, right? Unattainable because nothing is really ever perfect. Like you're never going to be able to be the perfect human and reach get that 10 out of 10 on whatever you're looking for. Or you can look at it as life is just perfect because everything that happens is exactly how it's supposed to be. So however you look at it, um, but it's a constant recommitment of who do I choose to be in this moment? And it is really fun, and for business owners, it's all over the board at, like, what the trigger point is. It's, when they feel tired enough of hitting their head against the same wall over and over again, that they're open to exploring and looking, and it's really fun. I have a client who, pretty often is like, "I know that you said this to me a long time ago, but I'm just realizing whatever it might be, right?
Uh-huh.
And so stuff lands for us when it lands, and being a coach and consultant means that it's not on my timing, it's their timing, and I'm here as their partner in the journey and keep trying to give them options to explore what's possible. And then when they're ready, that exploration feels like the door was just blown open for them. And it's like, wow, where has this nugget been this whole
Mm.
time? And I've been like, well, I've been sharing it with you for last year, but
Every Tuesday we talk about this.
right. But you just are ready for it now. And that's great, right? Because again, it all happens when it's supposed to happen.
This runs right into a paradox for me, because the paradox that I am starting to see is that while we have free will, we're also being led and guided.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know really what to do with that. It's like,
Well,
and it's the framework, I've heard, I don't know where exactly was the original, but like it's happening for me versus to me. Like
yep.
I understand that, right? And
Yeah.
you're like, all right, it's for me. And then, my identity and ego will battle if something is happening for me that I really don't like.
Yep.
But then it also requires me to take steps forward in order to go on the journey. Um, and yet, yeah, I mean, there's so much like true luck in business, and yet individuals have to take steps, and then that actually opens up the opportunity.
Yeah. Well, I think it's fun to can you share a time when just like you said, it's pure luck. When did those doors just start opening for you and you just knew the next step to go or the next thing to do?
I literally the beginning of Cooler was that. It was
Will you
not
just
it was not
share a
planned.
glimpse? Yeah.
It was not planned at all, and
Yeah.
I was in transition, and I heard through the grapevine that an old landlord needed her house painted
Yeah.
and couldn't get anybody to call her back. And so in that moment, I was like, "I can call her back." And that's literally, you know, like, at that moment, I saw the vehicle, and I didn't know. I mean, I had visions of grandeur, and it wasn't that. It didn't play out that way, but as soon as I saw it, I knew. I was like, "Oh, man, this is it."
Yeah. I so I mean, that's you just explained it beautifully. So how did you know? Where did you feel it? What are the visions? Like when we get out of our own heads with the shoulds, just because you can doesn't mean you should, right? Like with all the shoulds and really tap in and listen, doors open. Life
Mm.
flows. And what you just described is that alignment, that flow. You listened, you made the call. So we do have to be active participants in our life. Like, I'm not saying, okay, just go sit on the couch and become a millionaire. But when we tap into that purpose, so that reignite our passions, when we're doing the things that bring us joy or that we feel good about doing, things line up for us and doors open as long as we're not blocking them with our shoulds and our stories or our limiting beliefs about am I good enough to do this? Do I have the skills to do this? Like it wouldn't have presented itself to you if you weren't meant to try. And even if you try and you fail, what did you learn from it?
Yeah, I love that.
Right? If we can get out of our own way and live into what feels good and what brings us joy, like that's that purpose. And um it is really fun and everyone has their own purpose and own belief systems, but like what do you believe you're meant to do here on earth? And if Cooler Garage is creating this amazing community where people feel empowered and excited to come to work and feel like they have a pathway forward, like wow, that's an amazing purpose, you know? But it's all individual.
Yeah, it is all individual. On across the board from your work and experience, is there some specific ways in which we stay in our own way? Like,
Yeah, I mean, it's our self-talk. Do you talk to anyone more than you talk to yourself all day? No, right? Like, we talk to ourselves more than anyone talks to us all day long, and for most of us, that self-talk isn't empowering. It isn't, "You can do whatever you want to do." It isn't listening to that intuition, like you said, of like, "Hey, I'm like, this feels right." It's all the shoulds. It's all the marketing that's been given to us our whole life of what success looks like, of what we're meant to do, of what you need to do, of what you and you don't have all the tools. And I see it a lot more in women than men, of these women entrepreneurs who are or leaders in any field, are amazing, and they have so much to offer and so much to give, and they're like, I just need to get one more certification and then I'll do this, right?
hmm,
And it's not like, we have the beauty of coaching is that you have everything you already need within you. And I just get to be that person that helps shine the light on it and be like, do you really need that one more certification before you go make that conversation? Because the answer is no. Like,
yeah,
we keep getting in our own ways for not having the self worth, for not believing we are good enough, for not believing that what I want it aligns with what others think I should be doing. And it just creates this like cycle of suffering versus just enjoying what we have, listening, and then
love
moving
it.
forward.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. What are some practices you bring forward to help people get out of that, get out of their own way?
Um, Again, it's super individualized because everyone needs their own nugget at their own time. But there's a few books that I really like to recommend. The Big Leap is one of my favorites to recommend to clients and work through with them. Because again, I can try and shine that light. We can talk about it during our sessions. And sometimes when they see it or if they listen to it on, Audible or whatever, they are start to be like, oh, this is amazing. How did I it's me getting in my own way, and I'm like, "Oh, wow, tell me more." Right? What resonated with you?
Mhm. Mhm.
And then it's integrating, like, those self check-ins for clients of, like, how often do you realize that you are talking negatively to yourself? And so, um something that I recommend is putting a hair tie or rubber band on your wrist, and every time you realize a limiting belief or a negative thought or whatever, and just changing it from one wrist to the next, and, like, you start to realize how often you're blocking yourself throughout the day. Um, Journaling, meditation, reflection are all amazing things, and then, what I'm integrating, in all of my contracts moving forward is time with clients. So I have clients kind of all over the world, and I am integrating into their agreement that we'll have some time together, but it's gonna be in natural, beautiful places. So whatever that looks like, again, it will vary, but I think that there's something so powerful, and I know that that's where I'm most in alignment is when I'm out and I'm moving my body through beautiful natural spaces is where I can start to quiet some of that self-talk and, connect to that being that is gonna give me that next step or give me that idea of what to do next. And so, yeah, with all of my coaching clients moving forward, there's days together that is in nature, and I actually have a client coming out here, next week, and we're gonna take the horses up on the plateau. Ooh,
Amazing.
yeah, yeah. Nature, animals, all of that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you're talking about being
Yeah,
and how do we learn to be better beings. I think that we're on a really interesting cusp with technology, with I'll just call it disruption, and it's going to send people's heads spinning without the tools of being.
yeah.
So it's important work.
Well, right, we're human beings, not human doings. But for most of us, me included, that doing and I think for entrepreneurs and business owners and leaders, like that doing is where we find a lot of our self-worth and our value. Like, if I can check off a checklist, wow, I crushed the day. Who who cares if I'm, done puddle on the floor at the end of the day? Um, but yeah, I think as technology and disruption, um, hits new levels that we've never seen, but we've never experienced before, I think the human aspect of it all is going to be what grounds us and what keeps businesses successful if their business owners, if their leaders can tap into that humanness of it, because we're going to be missing a lot. We're going to be missing out on that in lots of aspects. Technology, you can jump on ChatGPT and you can ask it all the coaching questions in the world, right? And it can give you ideas, suggestions. But what it's missing is that human connection of seeing what's on your face and realizing, Matt, is that really the challenge? Or is there something deeper that you're struggling with? And feeling, I think it's even more than noticing those nonverbal cues in a face, because maybe AI can probably get that done sometime soon too. But it's having that feeling and understanding what like what does that feel like in our bodies, and what is our purpose if we don't have to check off a checklist?
Yeah.
How do you want to show up in the world? And the cool thing is that's all in our control.
Hey everybody, this is Luke from Cooler Garage Doors. Just want to take a quick second to talk about our sponsor, Sommer Garage Door Openers. In our opinion, Sommers are the highest quality product on the market today. We recommend them for all of our residential garage door installs because of the variety of features they include, such as Wi-Fi connectivity and safety features such as a fixed chain, which moves along a secure rail to ensure your garage door opens quietly and safely. Click on the link in the description to learn more about Sommer Garage Door Openers.
Yeah. I want to run something by you that maybe can help connect this to listeners also, because the way I would frame some of what you're talking about is pitched to be in an experience where there's a rider, which is our brains, and then there's the horse, which is our bodies. And oftentimes, what can happen, and I can relate to this because this is literally part of Matt's journey. Like, I was a bright kid that got encouraged for academics and logic. And so I stayed up there. I was in my head. And then,
Yeah.
you know, the divine has ways of moving through, and I had different, let's just say, complications or different interruptions between this mind body, and I also had some really amazing experiences, whether it's on a yoga mat or in the mountains or whatever, that would
Yeah.
actually connect me back to that body and then be like, oh man, there's a crazy awareness. And so, like, rider, horse, and head, body. And what I'm picking up is that some of your work is to help clients connect back to their bodies, because our bodies are where intuition is housed. Our bodies are where the heart lives, and there is absolute energies in various parts of our bodies that can be communicators. And it doesn't have to drive from just the head.
So it's really fun that you say that, because a lot of my work, I ask my clients to check in with their heart. And so they'll start to give me answers, even my ones that are really good and really open to really good about, I shouldn't say good, good about or really open to checking in with their bodies. They get into this head mode of like, and I need to, and I need to, and I need to. And I'm like, wait, 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 slow down, take a breath, close your eyes. put your hand on your heart, and we'll even do some guided visualizations to get them out of their head and into their heart. And it's so fun to do that too, because it's the I need to, and I need to, and I need to. And when we can stop and slow down and check in, not from here, but from here, they can tell me right away what needs to be the priority and why. And so, society moves really fast, and busy has been this, like, we see it as almost a badge of honor. I'm busy. I slept 3 hours last night because I'm so busy. I'm like, that's not great, right? And there's actually another book that I recommend, Never Play It Safe, and it's in that book. It says, something along the lines of, busy is not a badge of honor. It's a sign that you don't have your shit together. And so if we can get out of the yuck up here and tap in here, we know what to do. We know what to do next. But it's our ego, it's the outside world, it's our own self-talk that keeps us from knowing what to do next, because it's all up here and this is spiraling and this is spinning. And that's great. It's gotten you where you are. But if you want to get to that next level, it's not a checklist.
Yeah.
It's not sleeping 3 hours a night. It's not working 12-hour days. It's figuring out what needs to be that priority and listening to it. And even if that priority means, hey, I need a break. I need some downtime. When I started working with my coach, when I left my last organization, like that was me, right? Like, I was busy. I was doing a lot. I was running a whole organization. A lot of my assignments were to do nothing. I was like, well, what do you do when you do nothing? I went and sat with my goats. I have goats. They're awesome. And it was amazing. It was amazing what comes to you when you're not trying to keep doing. Like, what is that powerful message that I can actually have? What can I do in the world when it's not just a checklist? When I check in here and not necessarily here.
Yeah. 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 So you already mentioned, one real quick practice for everybody is you put your hand on your heart, take a deep breath or multiple breaths, and it won't take long before the mind starts calming down. And even give a verbal sigh, a verbal ah, and that'll start engaging the vagus nerve and letting the body know that it is okay, and everything will calm down.
Yeah. Yeah. That's probably the easiest thing to recommend, as you know, and if you don't have the answer, if the answer isn't coming to you, step away. Go just take a minute. If you can get outside, if you can go somewhere else, hand on your heart. I like hand on your heart, hand on your belly, because that's typically in our spots where our power and our intuition live. And, take some breaths and feel here. Actually feel it. Like, can you feel your heartbeat? And once you get to that point, ask the question, what's next? Or yes or no questions, whatever that works for you. But once we stop that spiral, that spin from our head and move it to our body, it's where magic happens.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Hand on the heart or go sit with goats.
And if you need to, come visit. Canyon's beautiful. I use the horses for coaching as well. And they're the best teachers in the world. So you've got this 1,200-pound animal right there. And if you're showing up anxious, nervous, I'm doing, they're going to give you instant feedback of, hey, you're not in the right headspace for me to follow you right now.
Yeah, I've heard the power there. Yeah, that's amazing.
Get into nature, I guess, is probably the best thing.
Yeah. I want to pivot just a little bit for the final moments here, Amy. If I'm resonating, right? If we have some listeners who are resonating, we're like, okay, breathe, get into nature, get in the body. make important decisions with a calm mind, um, start practicing doing nothing and be okay with that.
That's a really big jump. You
Wow.
might want a coach for that one. That one was really hard.
How about then turning towards a team? Because if I'm running a certain way, then generally I'm going to attract similar types of players. And if I notice in myself that, maybe um, maybe I've been anxious or ran with scarcity, and now I'm starting to make some shifts and pivots, and I'm getting more being, and now I've got my team. What can leaders do, employ, say that can help their team members um, kind of achieve some of the beingness that we're talking
Yeah.
about?
The most fun exercise that I love to do with, and it starts at the leadership level and then it goes down to your team level, is a values exercise. Like, what are the values of your company? And that's why I'll start at the leadership level. And then let's bring it to the team. What are their values and how do we all align? And making sure that you have a really, really clear vision, right? Our vision is we're in the mountains. I love to use the mountains as a metaphor. Our vision is our summit. Like, what peak are we actually headed towards? And making sure our team is at the same trailhead that we're at. Because if we're climbing Mount Elbert, the highest mountain here in Colorado, but we have team members that are at the Mount Massive trailhead, we're never going to be working towards the same spot, the same big goal. So having a really clear vision, having a really clear mission. Your mission is your how. How are we going to get there? First of all, we're all going to meet at the Mount Elbert trailhead. And we might not stay on the same trail, but if we all have that internal compass, if we all know our how of we're going to get up there by serving others and we're going to use our values along the way, that's how teams create really powerful impact, I think, in the world. And they're all on the same page and they're all moving, number one, moving towards the same peak. And then number two, that those values align so powerfully that whether you go one way and I go another, that it's all going to bring us back up to that same peak. Um,
Hmm.
yeah. So making sure that your mission, vision, and values all align and that you have a really strong culture statement, that breaks down those values and because you might have an idea of what integrity means, but what integrity means to me is something totally different. And so that's where that culture statement comes in of let's be really clear and ideally work as a team to define what these values mean to us here on the job site.
Define culture statement. What do you mean by that?
Yeah. So a culture statement is your values defined.
Okay.
So we'll go through and, create, what are Matt's values? What are Amy's values? What are Annie's values if that's our company? And we come together and we look at those values and then we say, all right, well, which ones of these are most beneficial to support Cooler Garage? What are the things that we want to make sure every single team member embodies? What do we want our clients to feel and to know? And then we go through and define those values of, okay, so Matt, you and I both had integrity on our list. What does integrity mean to you? Amy, what does integrity mean to you? And what does that mean for Cooler? And we actually write out, integrity at Cooler means that we are showing up every day as our best selves. We are treating every person that we come into contact with care and understanding. So whatever that word, that value means in our culture statement, it is fully defined of what that looks like for the company as a whole, and that's internal and external.
Yeah, got it. I mean, that's going to take words off the wall and into practice.
And for business owners, it makes it really easy. So if someone is out of alignment, you just fall back on your values to have maybe a
Hmm.
potentially hard conversation,
Yes.
and it makes those hard conversations a lot easier because it's pretty pretty cut and dry of, hey, no, this is our value. This is how we said we'd live it. If you're not in alignment here, why not? Does this still feel like we're on the same path? And if not, okay, maybe you're not our client. Maybe you're not the right person for this. Um, but yeah, in all of it, that beingness falls back on to, are we really, really clear with our team on where we're headed, how we're getting there, and what we're packing along the way, right? Our values.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, the more clear I've gotten with values and explaining that and understanding how they work, they've become an absolute filter
Yes.
for recruiting and for managing, having those conversations. It's very
Yeah.
clear if somebody steps outside of them, and it's a corrective style conversation generally.
Yeah.
Um, if we've done the right job of recruiting using them,
Yeah.
but
And
it's
it makes
pretty
those
powerful.
conversations so much easier, right? Like, it's not out of
Yes.
the blue, "Hey, this isn't the right fit." It's like, "No, like, we've talked about these. These are this from the start, this on that onboarding is even before, like you're saying, in that recruiting process, these are our values," and building your, interview questions around your values
Hmm.
to make sure they're a good fit. Because a
Yeah.
lot of times skills can be taught, right? And AI is teaching us that. Like, skills are are easy, but finding that person, that human being that can fulfill that is what's gonna set us apart, I think, moving forward.
I fully agree. And that goes full circle back to any business just being a vehicle for being.
Yeah.
And I'm more and more convinced that that is just the journey. It's not about the achievement necessarily. It's about the being. And, from my perspective, Cooler is such a treat because it is just the vehicle for my own self and now 9 other beings to come in and play the journey of human,
Yeah.
right?
Totally, and I'm gonna throw out there that there is nothing wrong with making money, right? Like, having a
For sure.
business that makes money, that is still a goal, and I just wanna be clear in that, like, the work that I do isn't like, "Oh, you just need to be and go live in the forest somewhere." Like, that's not the society we live in. That'd be awesome. Um, but the reality is like, we do live in a society where we do have to make money. We have wants, we have needs, and all of those are okay as well, as long as it's not at the expense of the being.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. And when I mentioned vehicle, like it's a vehicle to go somewhere. And
Yep.
in business, it's a game, it's a construct of thought, and we live in this capitalistic society, and that's the game right now. And maybe there would be some kind of massive shift at some point, but um, to understand the game, to understand financial literacy, which is the scorecard of the game, is all really really important. And you know, I'm sure I'm going to start putting little loops on our conversation here, Amy, but we could open up a whole new realm when we start talking about the ability of humans to receive. And that's been one of my challenges. And so, you talk about profitability, and for a long minute, I would self sabotage and make sure that I
Mhm.
didn't receive that,
Yeah.
which is silly. But um, that's part of the identity work. That's part of the beingness, part of the journey also.
Receiving is also really hard for me. I think for people that are very good at giving, receiving is hard. And it is, again, just that mindset shift, right? Of like, no, like oops, sorry, I'm losing my AirPod. Um, yeah, how do you receive with grace um and let it be what it needs to be, because the universe is constantly giving to us.
Hmm.
And if we block it, we're blocking those gifts. And I
Hmm.
think that, if someone were to give you a gift, and I see it with my mom, it's really funny. She buys gifts that are just super random, And if you're not gracious about it, she feels so hurt that you're not receiving that gift. And I think, being
Mm,
aware of that in the universe as well, of like, okay, well, if I'm not going to be open to receiving the gifts that I'm asking for, like, why not? And when someone, or if someone gives you a compliment, how often does someone give you a compliment and you're like, yeah, thanks. Okay, well, you're, you're just being nice or whatever. It kind of almost takes away from them and being able to like give you that gift. Does that make sense? I feel like that I'm not articulating
absolutely.
it very well. Okay.
No, I just see clearly another paradox because um, it's it would be selfish of me to not accept and receive,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
And it's
Yes.
like internally, like my ego might think that it's not selfish because oh maybe that's too much or I don't right, but it's just like in order to give, we have to
Yes.
receive. In order to love somebody, we have to also love ourselves. Like there's this in out
Yes.
paradox all the time.
Yes. Yes, 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 that's it, and being aware of why, where does that ego come from of do you not deserve it? Do you not like, what are the talks? What's the self-talk behind not being open to just receiving a gift and saying thank you? And so I've been working this is really fun that you said that that's one of your challenges. That's one of my challenges too. So as people give, I've been really aware lately of receiving with grace and telling them thank you and how much I appreciate the gift and not making it, oh, what can I give them back? Like anything, just fully receiving the gift that they're sharing with me. Cause that's what I would want too, right? If I share something with you, I would love, like, I bake you cookies and you're like, I'm like, oh, okay. I would love for you to even if you don't eat them and you throw them away, it's that like, "Oh, thank you, that meant a lot."
Amy, looking forward, what are you excited for?
I'm excited for continued growth, continued expansion, for myself and for others. Um, I love being able to see and support others when they realize that anything is possible, and I have some amazing clients right now that are doing some pretty big things in the world, and I'm excited to see and support them with what's truly possible when they have that thought partner with them
For
on the
sure.
journey and to see kind of the impact that we can have in the world that makes positive change.
Amazing. And for the listeners that have resonated with you, want to learn more, maybe even connect,
Yeah.
where do we find you?
I do have a website. I haven't updated the website. But all of my contact information is at amybenhorin.com. Or the one thing I do on social media every week is Mindful Mondays. And
Mm.
so for anyone who resonates, would love for you to come on it's just Amy Ben-Horin on social, on Instagram and Facebook, and I do Mindful Mondays, and I feel like my way to help expand consciousness in the world and just share what's on my mind.
Amazing. Awesome.
Yeah,
Well, we'll include your web link and that social for Monday mornings in our show notes. And I encourage
awesome.
listeners to reach out and connect and learn more from you. Amy, I really appreciate your integrity and authenticity.
Yeah,
It's
thanks.
been just an absolute pleasure getting to know you and to be able to call you a friend is a true gift. And I thank you for joining today.
Mm. Thanks, Matt. I feel the same and so excited to be in this sphere with you.
Beautiful. Well,
Yeah.
thanks again. And yeah, if you're interested in connecting with Amy, reach out and we'll talk to you soon.
Awesome. Thanks, Matt.
And please know that I am incredibly humbled and honored. I can't believe I'm saying this. We have over 2,400 subscribers on our YouTube channel, and we're just growing. It is amazing. And your likes, your subscribes, and your shares have helped us get here. So let's grow this thing together and just know that you are appreciated.